Hello, this is Max. Today, the story will be about three girls who lived in a house with a ghost that did very interesting things with them. You can subscribe to the channel after watching. It helps us a lot in realizing the content. Cassie visits a salon for a makeover, and despite the eccentricity of her new look, she takes pride in it. Brandy engages in extreme activities with a man, but his performance disappoints her, leading to her expressing frustration by playfully whipping him. Amber, Cassie, and Brandy work together as waitresses at a club, where they prepare for the customer's arrival. They encounter discriminatory remarks from the cook, Enrique, who speaks in Spanish, unbeknownst to them. Bunny, a trans co-worker, joins the club and greets the bartenders, Dale and Lawrence. Brandy teases Bunny about Cassie's shocking eyeshadow, but Lawrence turns the comment back on Brandy, jokingly suggesting she craves attention. Cassie inquires about Amber's date with a doctor, during which Amber reveals her ambitious plans for the future. The others laugh and question her approach to happiness. Ryan, the bar owner, introduces their new hostess, Dawn, advising the team to behave naturally around her. Ryan also addresses Cassie's extreme makeup, requesting her to tone it down. Later on, Ryan assigns Bunny to entertain a table of doctors, causing Amber to feel upset as she wanted that task. In response to Ryan's strict behavior, the team intentionally tries to make him uncomfortable. By the end of the night, Bunny receives over $300 in tips and secures a date with two wealthy doctors. After work, Cassie asks Amber about her plans, and Amber reveals that her aunt passed away long ago. Amber's mother intends to sell the aunt's house in the summer, but allows Amber to use it as a vacation house until then. Amber invites her friends to spend the summer there with her. The women inquire if Amber's aunt lived there alone, and Amber mentions that she used to live there with her true love. Meanwhile, at the vacant house, two burglars break in. One of them experiences strange paranormal events when he pees in the pool, and the other gets hit on the head by a wine bottle that seems to move on its own. Realizing there's a supernatural presence, they flee in terror. Elsewhere, the women decide to visit the house before pursuing their individual activities after work. However, Bunny can't join them due to her date with the doctors. Inside the house, they find it surprisingly neat and organized. Amazed that Amber's aunt maintained it alone. Discovering a picture of Amber's aunt with a man, they assume it's her lost love who died there 30 years ago. Unaware that the picture rearranges itself, they proceed to take selfies but find their phones mysteriously powered off. Finding herself in a remote neighborhood with poor reception, Brandy questions whether to spend the summer in the house. However, Cassie assures Amber that she'll join her during that time. The other women leave for their dates, leaving Amber alone at her aunt's house for the night. Before going to bed, Amber drinks some wine and feels an invisible force touching her, which excites her. However, she decides to sleep when she notices her wine glass refilling on its own, suspecting she might be drunk. She sleeps in her aunt's sleeping clothes. The next morning, the invisible force returns, pulls her blanket off, and gives her a euphoric experience of a lifetime. At work, Amber's co-workers share their horrible date experiences except for Bunny, who surprised the doctors with her charm. Brandy asks Amber about her night, and she reveals the encounter with the ghost, which surprises everyone. Intrigued, the women ask to stay with Amber that night, and even Bunny expresses interest. Cassie invites Dale and Lawrence, who agree to join. That night, the group heads to the haunted house. Before entering, Dale, Lawrence, and Bunny check the surroundings. Amber reassures them that there's nothing to fear. While offering everyone wine, Brandy playfully teases Lawrence, irritating him. He admits he might like her more if she wasn't so provocative. Cassie and Bunny settle into their rooms, eager to encounter the ghost. Dale joins Amber and Brandy in the kitchen, where Brandy tells him about Amber's intimate experience with the ghost, surprising him. As Amber offers wine to Dale, the ghost playfully pushes a glass above his head, but he manages to catch it and puts everything back in the cupboard. The two engage in a conversation where Dale tries to persuade Amber to reconsider her future plans. As they talk, they draw closer and almost share a kiss, but their moment is interrupted by the smoke alarm going off. To ensure the safety of the house, Dale and Lawrence check the backyard. There, Dale trips over a water hose that seemingly appeared out of nowhere, and pine cones fall on his head twice, amusing Lawrence. The ghost then pushes them into the pool, and as they struggle to swim, they feel an airy presence urging them to get out of the water. Meanwhile, Bunny storms out of her room, claiming that the ghost is prejudiced against trans women like her. Cassie also encounters the ghost, but has a more positive experience compared to Bunny. Back inside, the ghost fully reveals itself to Amber, playfully moving random objects before her. However, her amusement turns to concern when the soaking wet Dale and Lawrence walk in to explain what happened. The ghost kicks Dale twice when he tries to speak, prompting him and Lawrence to leave the house. Bunny approaches the door with her suitcase, intending to rant, but the ghost shuts the door in her face. Brandy then claims Benny's room for herself. Finally, having some alone time, Amber mistakenly tells the ghost that Cassie enjoys pain. The ghost playfully hits Cassie, but Amber realizes her mistake and corrects herself, revealing that Brandy is the one who enjoys it. The ghost then playfully hits Brandy, exciting her. Cassie, initially angered, is enticed by the ghost's touch, and her frustration subsides. Later, Brandy leaves her room to gather props from the living room, preparing for her intense encounter with the ghost. The women continue to enjoy their time with the ghost, leading to lively and fulfilling nights. The next morning, Brandy wakes up with smudged makeup and bruised arms, but she's delighted with the experience. The ghost even leaves her some supplies to tend to her wounds. Meanwhile, Cassie finds most of her makeup thrown out by the ghost, leading her to realize her natural beauty. Amber wakes up to find a cup of coffee and a rose on her nightstand, a sweet gesture from the ghost. At work, the women appear preoccupied, and even Ryan notices their unusual silence, missing their usual playful banter with him. The days pass, and the ghost continues to delight the women. They plan to host a pool party at the haunted house, inviting friends to join the festivities. The ghost enthusiastically responds by splashing water, expressing excitement about the upcoming event. During the pool party, they all gather for a slumber party in the living room, eagerly waiting for the ghost's unique performances. The ghost surprises everyone with its specialty, leaving them breathless. The party goes on for days, but eventually, the trio becomes exhausted and decides to bring the festivities to a close. As they clean up, Amber discovers the corn figurine given by Dale, but the ghost destroys it, perhaps showing some jealousy. Despite this, the women continue with their daily routine, going to work and spending nights with a playful and entertaining ghost. As time goes on, the women discover that their experiences with the ghost not only bring excitement, but also help them form genuine connections with other people. Amber develops a bond with Dale, Brandy enjoys spending time with Lawrence in a wholesome manner, and Cassie finds herself getting along with Ryan. During one incident, Amber and Don encounter Enrique in the kitchen, where he insults them again in Spanish. However, Don surprises him by responding confidently in the same language, revealing that she understands what he's saying and putting him in his place. Later, Amber shares with Cassie and Brandy in the dressing room that her mother keeps pressuring her to start a family. She admits that she used to dream of that too, but her plans changed due to her experiences with the ghost. Curious, Cassie asks Amber about the plan, and Amber reveals that she has a new plan now to prioritize her happiness. They turn to Brandy and ask her the same question. Brandy's response remains the same as always. She seeks more pain. Cassie is intrigued by Brandy's fascination with pain, prompting her to inquire about the reason behind it. As Brandy contemplates the question, she comes to a realization: pain is the one thing that has made her feel loved, and that understanding surprises both Cassie and Amber. However, Amber is now uncertain about her previous desires. Cassie suggests that they may need to let go of the ghost at some point, which worries both Brandy and Amber, as they are not ready to part with the supernatural entity. Amber is torn between wanting a traditional life with a husband and children, while also wanting to keep the ghost in her life. She believes she can have both and plans to go on a date with Dale, thinking it won't affect her connection with the ghost. Cassie finds this amusing because she's also dating Ryan. Brandy, however, scolds them for cheating on the ghost. Cassie and Amber dismiss her concern, believing the ghost would never hurt them. But Brandy reveals a bruise on her body, proving the ghost's capability to cause harm. That night, Brandy remains in the house while Amber and Cassie go on their dates. The ghost leaves props like cuffs and a whip on her bed, but she politely declines and asks for a peaceful night. This angers the ghost, and it storms out of the room. When Amber and Cassie return from their enjoyable dates, they encounter a troubling experience before going to bed, leaving them concerned about the future of their connection with the ghost. The next morning, the ghost displays its grudge by messing with their belongings. Brandy takes the others outside, urging them to break things off with the men they are dating. As they exit, the door opens on its own, and a powerful gust of wind blows behind them, shocking them to realize that the ghost can leave the house. Amber feels responsible for the situation and plans to talk to the ghost when she returns from work. Brandy and Cassie are worried for her safety and advise against it. Nevertheless, Amber insists on going. Alerted by their friends, Dale, Lawrence, and Ryan head to the house. Inside, Amber confronts the ghost, declaring that it's over. In response, the ghost becomes angry, pinning her to the wall and causing chaos in the room. Meanwhile, the group rushes to the house, with Lawrence initially cautious about speeding to avoid getting a ticket. However, they persuade him to drive faster. As the ghost turns hostile, it brandishes a knife. But when Amber professes her eternal love for it, the ghost calms down. When she opens her eyes, everything returns to normal, and the room is tidy once more. The ghost then symbolically sends their suitcases out, hinting for them to leave. The group arrives, concerned about Amber's well-being. She assures them she's fine, and they decide to leave the house, gathering their belongings. Days later, they gather at Amber's house to celebrate. Lawrence asks Brandy out on a date, and she happily accepts. Amber's mom offers them cookies and reveals that the house has been sold, bought by Don unbeknownst to them. They all look at a group photo of Amber's aunt, and Amber's mom points out another woman in the picture, who was her aunt's true love. The group is surprised to realize that the ghost was a woman all along. So, what do you think of this movie? Write your thoughts in the comments under the video, and also do not forget to put a like and subscribe to the channel. Goodbye.